welcome to Voice of South Pacific and Radio Tonga Seattle. Today is the last day of the month of June, June 30th, 2022. Voice of South Pacific is live broadcast from Seattle, Washington, from Moui Center. Malo lau malia ho e ki pa Lelei a tonga kotoa pe, ko e whamawhlalea ai ni ai Voice of South Pacific o tuka tia pa me Seattle, Washington ni Amerika. Mawhiwhia ke lawa tau kawhataha i a polokalama koe ni ai Providence ElderPlace, koe Providence ElderPlace, koe tau mua, keep the elderly, stay home and comfortably. Pea koe ni te tau kau lewa pea moe nau kau ngawe, kai ki tau toi whakaloloa, kau nau loto ke nau whamatala i atu, how to benefit our Pacific Islanders population here in the King County and Seattle, Washington. Okay, ki ngā tai o ko tau whiawhia ko ngā polokama Lelei ko ni, ko ngā koe part 2 today. Christina Predict from King County Public Health. Ka yaha mo ngai whihui about vaccines. If you have any question about the vaccination, especially with the 5 years and older, you're more than welcome to give us a call at 206-305-8222. Hua na ono tau noa nima walu o ua. Pako kole atka ki mo tolgo tape, mo mea mai I he ope, mo ka taka vai atu e tau polokalama. Share. Ko e polokalama ko ni, ko ngā polokalama ini, o atu I he lea whapapalangi, mo lea whatonga. We do share this program like in English and Tongan, and also some our guests will be in other native languages, like Samoan and Fijian. Ko iai opu mawhiwhia tata Lelei ki motolo, ka whamaloa te tuko mo taimi, ka lawa ke mo mea mai ki tau kawhataha. I polokalama mahu ingai aho ni. Most of the program tuku atuia I he lea whapapalangi, ka okulawa peke mauto I tuku atuia I lea whatonga. Pea ko awe ni pa mo sini poloka tātola ma tuku atu ai polokalama koe aho ni, pe whoke mau ensinia kia neta tua tā pea lava. Before we continue on, I would like to ask, Neta to please just play a little melodious song just for a few seconds. Then we continue on because we do have our special guest of the day representing the Providence ElderPlace. Thank you so much for waiting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shinjali, for being patient. And again, I'm sorry, for continuing on with our coconut time. Thank you for your patience. I'm here with my co-worker. My co-host is Saini, so in English, Jane. Please, can you introduce yourself to the audience, and then we will continue on. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for inviting me. This is my second time with you. Thank you for inviting me again. And as Sylvia shared, my name is Charlie Shin, and I am an ElderPlace employee. I'm the chaplain. And a little bit of background about me. I live in Seattle. I have 2 kids and a husband, and I am an ordained minister in the Presbyterian Church, which is a Protestant Christian tradition. And I really enjoy working at ElderPlace. And I was invited to join again. I heard that the community has been going through so much, and that's kind of what I know, and that's what brought me here. And so I'm really excited to be with you and hear how I could be a support. And I don't have a ton prepared, but I'd love to hear more from you all and hear from Sylvia as well.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
inviting me.
Thank you, Shin. I know that some of the people are very new to, to the Providence Elder Place. And if you could, just share us, what is something that is going to benefit, the elderly. Because in our culture, we take care of our elderly. We don't really normally, for the elderly, it's so unusual to see that we put our elderly in a facility. It's almost
Mhm.
like not, like a normal culture, for us. So if you can kind of share that, how that the people can be benefit from the Providence Elder Place. Ko tu pe se ni mahalo te gai beho ki whalea, ko ngā koe tau mua koe ni e nau ngā we mana polkalama pe oskapa tau toka hokatu. We will always kind of go with both languages, so that way that the people could understand. I'll give like a few seconds for Sani.
Ia. Ho e makainga mala o pito mo mea mai ki he porokalama ko ia whiaf koe ni. Hange ko ia ko osi whahoko atu koe ni e sirivia he kamata e porokalama. Koe porokalama e whiawhini o ko ngaua ai a koe uloaki e uloaki whai mai ia e porokalama koe ni ai ElderPlace. Ai a
Providence,
whoki a Providence. Koe ui of koe wheitu ueni, koe kautahan, koe business eni. O nauhanga o tokoni e ngai whāmiri, ke kei tuku pe e te tau Lekeleka, pe koe whae, pe koe tamai, pe koe kui, i api, hange pe whakoe o tau maheni koe ki ai koe i tonga. Ka te nau o whai mai e ngahi ngā aue ke kehe, mo ngai tokoni ke kehe koe ke nau ke nofo pe i api. Aia koe ke kehe whakeni, me he whaunga koe o tau maheni ia i he whonuani, ko ne vai pe hataha kai ke loko lava o whai kia whatongi a Tauhi, pia awe whoki ki he whare koe o Tauhi pe koe whare Tauhi a kau vai. Malo.
Malo pita Sani. Okay, Shin.
Charlie.
Oh, Charlie. Thank you so much, but you can go ahead and, tell us more about, like about the Providence Elder Place.
Sure. Thank you for the question. I'm probably not the expert in answering it, but I can share what I know and what I think. So Elder Place is called a PACE program. We're a program for all-inclusive care of the elderly. So it's PACE. And it's actually a federally funded program. And a lot of our people are on Medicare and Medicaid. And I'll share a little bit about the history of how this program started. It's actually all over the USA, and in Seattle, we're one of 3 different PACE programs, so similar programs. And it started in the San Francisco Bay Area in the Chinatown neighborhood because a lot of people of Asian descent do not want their elderly in their family to go to a nursing home. So everyone that can join into a PACE program, according to the federal government or the US government, they are nursing home eligible. But I a lot of our people would rather live at home with their family or as independently as they can, maybe in a, assisted living facility. A lot of people would rather choose to stay at home as long as possible. So these PACE programs grew out of the Chinatown neighborhood in the San Francisco area. And that was in the 70s, and they've grown and grown and grown. So ElderPlace is one of those programs. So we have worked for maybe 28 years in the Seattle area, trying to keep people supported at home or in a place that's not as strict or as lonely as a nursing home. So that's what we do. I know I've said a lot. I don't know if anyone wanted to translate in between or if it's difficult if I talk too much, so let me know.
Sure. We'll go ahead and provide a piece of what you have just finished.
Malo.
Au e kumakainga hange koe kumo mea mai ki ai kene whakamatala, koe ne whakamatala whuka kautaha koe ni koe nao ngā we. Te whito i ngā we ke toko ni e ngai whāmiri, ke kei lava pe e te vai vai, pe koe te tau Lekeleka o nofo pe i api. O i kai ke o ki he uwhare koe kau vai vai, pe koe nursing home, hanko tamahen ke he whonuani. Ai ako programa whako nia na ka mata mai ia me he ngahi tau taha hiwa whitungo futupu, na ka mata me San Francisco. O whai mai ai, pe ako heni i Seatoni, o ki ai e nau kautaha e tolu, e nau wa e tolu ke heni, ai ka taha ki nau tolu i heni, ai a oku nau tau mua taha pe ke toko nii, a ngai whāmiri, o hange pe whako i au tau whaafka amua e tau tolu, tau mahen whako mei tonga, a mai mei tonga au tau tahi pe tau to e tau kau vai vai, o au pe ke nau pe kia, tau ke nofo whakataha pe. Ai a ka whainga whakakau kau pe he, ke nau hanga pe o toko ni e ngai whāmiri, ke lava pe o Tauhi ka pa nau puke, lava pe o ai ngai nau, pe koe mea lere ke nau wai ke appointment, e toki hanga he whewhineo whakaiki ki mai, ka koe kau pe ia he whanki toko ni nau whai, ai fok o kau e programa koe nia, programa o toka ngai he pure anga, he ka pau nau tolu ko o Medicare ma Medicaid, lava pe ke hu mai o le sisita ki nau tolu, o maua te whainga maari koe ni mo toko ni koe ni he kautaha. Go ahead.
Well, so I guess what I can share, I don't know all the questions that might be out there, but I am the chaplain and I provide spiritual and emotional support to our participants. And I shared this last time I was on the show, but it's a little different than for those of you. I think your community, there's so many people who go to church and are Christian. I am an ordained minister, but my role at ElderPlace is a little bit different than your pastor. So I do not, I don't do much teaching and guidance, but I do a lot of learning from you. So if people are part of our program, I learn about them, about their faith, about their struggles, and I learn about what helps them, what makes them strong, what do they do during a hard time. And after I learned that, I try to work with them to bring out their strengths and help them while they're in the healthcare system. So I'm definitely part of the healthcare team. And they say about 80% of people want their doctor to know about their spiritual background, who they are, what faith they have. But most doctors don't know, or they're not trained to ask those questions. So I'm the part of the team that can learn that about you. And then I share that with your medical team. And the medical team will do their best to support you and find out if your faith is important to you, and that means you would want a particular kind of medical care, then we try to match your medical care to your values. I said a lot again, so I'll let you share a little bit about that.
Ko ia I he siasi koe ni, ko siasi Presbyterian, ka tahi ngai siasi lalahi pe ko ia siasi whakaristiane ko ia e mamani, ka koe whai whekau hoko ia. Ai a kono whatongia ko whai ko ia I he kautaha koe ni, o e Providence ElderPlace, ko ene toko nii, mo ene pōpō, mo ene toka ngai, ai mea ta whaaki koe ni ki he mea whakalau maari e, ai toko taha ko ia o nauhanga ko ia o toka ngai mai me he kautaha. Koe hange koe ne whamatalao ne pehe o ku lahi kau koe pese te walu noa o ka kai koe ni ku nau hange ka pau koe kau mahaki ia whainga wheitu upe. Unau fia maa nau tolu pe ak mahu inga ia ka mahaki koe ni, pe koe ka kai koe ni, ke ilo koe hae whainga tui unau tui ki ai. Pe koe karistiane, pe koe haha te whainga tui kehe. Ka unau fia maa o nau tolu ke ilo ki ai he nau kau toke tā, pe koe nesi. Po nau tolu ko unau hanga toka ngai e nau mo ui whakai sino. He fu mahu inga au pito, ia ki atu ki nau tolu, ke ilo i e nau tui. Aia ka paurewa o whainga ta ai, ai whehoko taki koe ni, ke whawhetu taki rewa ia, tene whai rewa e ia, ai ngā au e ko ia, o tuk baha rewa ia, moe vai vai, pia moe, he ko hifo koe toka taha whai whekau ia. Pia moe toke tā, puka kau nes, puka kau ngā au ko, na o mai o whai e, ai ngā au whakawhai to o kia te ia.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie. Yeah, I know that you have helped a lot, especially it's a spiritual calming, to the family that have difficulties, and going through a lot. Those are matters, in times of troubles and difficulties, to ease the burden that the family are going through emotionally. Can you tell us, something, that why the Providence, pick those services, to use it as far as helping the elderly?
I see. That question is a little bit harder for me, but I can share that the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services require certain services for PACE programs. And so there's so many. I'll try to list as many as I can think of. So certainly your doctor, there's a doctor that's a part of our team, and a nurse, a social worker. There's a whole rehab team that includes a physical therapist, an occupational therapist. And before I joined ElderPlace, I didn't really know what occupational therapy was. So if your home needs some kind of adjustments, grab bars, or a shower chair, or a special bed, or maybe because of changes in your hands, you need special utensils and spoons. The occupational therapist tries to get everything set up for you so that you can stay at home. And I guess going back to the nursing home comment, maybe nursing homes have hospital beds and they have all these other equipment. So the rehab team, including the occupational therapist and the physical therapist, they kind of get all that together, and they do all the assessments to find out what you need, things like wheelchairs and walkers, and when you need it, they're provided for you, and there's someone that checks in on you about that. So there's a rehab team, let's see, and a recreational therapist. A recreational therapist is somebody that asks about your hobbies and your activities and what you enjoy doing. And also, the recreational therapists are connected to an adult day health program, which I think the best way to describe it is there's like a senior center. So we run an activity day, and people come to our centers, not necessarily only for doctor's visits, but also to do groups and do activities. There's exercises. There's so many different activities. Sometimes we teach about health related information. I do a spiritual wellness group. And so there's lots of activities that we have during the daytime, and we do transportation. So all your appointments and getting to the center, the drivers, we have wonderful drivers that will drive you and provide transportation. We have schedulers. We have just so many people part of our team. I didn't even name everyone, but they're all required. Everyone's required except for me. The chaplain is not required, but Providence is a Catholic organization, and they think the spirit matters a lot. So I have a job here.
Yes. Thank you. Io, hange koe ne whamatala, koe ne tala mai, koe o kunau, koe whai kulupu toko lahi au pito, ai koe unau whai e toka ngā I koe ni, o toka taha koe ni, pe koe vai, pe koe taha matu o tua koe ni, ai o ngā ake nau polo kalama. Ai o ki ai toke tā, o ki ai nesi, o ki ai e toka taha me he social worker, ai a whoke hakumo mea I, ke toka ngā I ene u ngahi mea kehe koe, nge ko umea whelawe I mo pure anga ka pa ai social security mga mea pehe o ko ai toka taha whakamalohi sino ke toka ngai ata whaakoia o ki ai foki ai toka taha o ne hanga o whai u appointment ni telefoni o set up ngai appointment ko ke o sio ke toke taha pe ko whewhi tu whi mau ke alu ki ai a ho o vai pe a ki ai pe foki pe a mo e nau mea lele ai ko pe ko whanki mini pass pe ko hea o ngai aki ko uhi ke ave ai a vai ke ngai appointment ni. Ai a kulahi a pitu ai ngahi nau. Hange koe ka pao koe ke aha ha mohenga whiunga hange pe o whia mau. Ha mohenga tau i whakatonga pe koe mohenga whare mahaki. Ai koe hiki ki o lunga mo tuhifi ki lalo. Pe koe wheelchair. Pe koe ngahi nau ki he whare kau. Ke sea ta utu ko he sawa. Pe koe mea koe o te piki ai koe o he pā te piki ai koe he horisi. Ngahi nau ko tō ko ia o lawa ia mao he whainga maari o e polokalama koe ni. Pau ne whamanatu mai foki, polokalama koe ni foki a koe tahenga i polokalama o sponsor ia me he seas katolika. Ai a foki, ne onga o kai ke fie mao ia he pure anga kai ko ha mea ia tuuni. Fo i tuunga tuuni ke ha whai whekau. Ka koe whako polokalama ia katolika, ko uhinga ia koe ai whatongia ko tō taha ki ne toka ngai ai umea whakalau maari e ai vai. Malo opito. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. I'm just looking to know that I know that you have a senior health fair. It's coming up. Neta, if you could please, load that up. They have an upcoming senior health fair. And also, it's going to be on Friday, August 12th. Ai wa akos a tahawa o whahokoa e nau whea o kamata be me tata pongpongi ke tolu e fiafi. Pea koin e tuku at lewa ke mousi o peki ai o whai be he Martin Luther King. Whanima tahanima Martin Luther King Jr. Way. Whanima tahanima Martin Luther King Jr. Way. Ai a koe tamu ape koe hange kono NKJ a ke ma mo'o ato ai pe kainga o ma'wai pe ke to ilo ai pe lahi ngai whakamari ha kone whamatala e kone seini o ku pe mo to kone ke kau senior pe a moho mo ngai family. Sorry, but if you could if you have any info to share about the upcoming events that is going to be provided on August 12th.
So I learned about it through the email just at the same time as you did. So it's all new to me, very exciting. So I don't know anything more than what you already shared. But it would be so lovely just to meet people in the community, and if anyone has questions to get them answered, I think that would be wonderful. Yeah.
I think that is such a great outreach to the community to have such a fair, because as Sylvia has mentioned before, I know she had told me before about the program that is so closely aligned, the values and the reasons of providing such a service so closely aligns with our cultural priorities to take care of our elderly folks. And of course, coming from Tonga, we do take care of them there.
Exactly.
And for the most part over here, we still do the same. So this is great opportunity for information gathering, and also to encourage folks they can still, pursue that, but of course with the services and available opportunities provided from such as your Providence ElderPlace is providing. So that is good to follow up and attend the fair.
Yes, you're right. I think you mentioned that especially in Tonga, it's easy, maybe easier to care for your elderly. And in America, it's hard to know what resources are out there. And just to learn about this PACE program, when I learned about it, I was so excited that something like this existed, but it's relatively new and not a lot of people know about it. And I do want to say that it's a community for sure. I'm glad that we're doing community events, but for the people that do join, it's not just your family and that is supporting the elderly person in the home. It's a whole team of people that come around you, that care about you. And of course, I'm the chaplain, but I have to say that so many of the people that work at ElderPlace, they care so much about each person that we care for. And unlike the hospital, we get to know people for a long time. We build such strong relationships. So it does have that community feel through PACE programs that might be missing otherwise in the American healthcare system. So I think it's wonderful, and I agree. It having community events kind of points to the fact that this is a very communal activity, caring for each other and supporting our elderly and giving them dignity and respect and letting family be family. You know, when you become a caregiver for your family member, sometimes um, the relationship becomes really difficult, you know, having to care for your parents or your grandparents. And in some ways, having people to support you helps you just be a son or a daughter or a grandchild, a niece, a nephew. Um, and you can trust other people to help support you with caregiving. So I think that's one really, really special thing about Elder
Absolutely.
Place.
I do have a question.
Hmm.
What is the limit? Is the person, the family has to live within the Seattle city limit, or is King County at large, or what is the physical, um, defining lines
That's a wonderful, wonderful
geographical?
question. So there's many PACE programs in the whole country. But for Elder Place, my organization, we serve King County and Snohomish
King
County.
Counties, no.
And Spokane in Spokane as well. Um, we have many locations in Oregon, and also we're starting a new one in Northern California. But if we're talking Washington or Western Washington,
Yes,
it's King
King
County,
County.
Snohomish.
Right, right. That's good to know because lots our folks have moved outside of the Seattle city limit, but of course,
Hmm.
many are still within the King County
Hmm.
area.
Right.
Ange ko ia koe mō mea mai ki he whewhine koe ni aga whaiwhikau whoki e ni unihanga toka ngā i a porokalama ki te whaki whakalau mārie o e porokalama koe ni e kau taha Providence ElderPlace ai a koe porokalama whoki e ni o kulawa mao whainga me mārie me ai ngai whāmiri ko ia o e kau vai vai pe koe kau maha ki ku tau Lekeleka ka koe nau lava whakapau o nau lava o si mao e Medicare pe koe Medicaid hangi koe ne whakamata la koe uhinga pe polokala mā ke toko ni e ngai whāmiri ke kei lava pe o nofo e nau vai vai pe koe nau tau Lekeleka i api o ka pau nau whie mau ke hoko ata e ngau koe ni hangi pe whakoia tau tau koe maheni na o mai mi tonga e tau whia mau pe ke tau nofo pe mo e tau mātu a, pe koe kui, pe koe kāinga, i api ka oe ave ke nursing home. Kai whake hano kovi o nei ave ke nursing home. Ko i ngā pe ia ka pau o ku ke pehe, o ku ke whia tauhi pe koe e vai vai, pe blata pe vai vai ia i api, kai ke whia alu ke wheitu koe kau muri ata ata, pe koe wheitu fo o, ke sita e lata ai, lava pe o nofo i api. Ka kohi wai ngahi tokoni ke kehe, ke toko ni i ki moutou ngahi whamiri ko wha am ke whai mea ko ia, ke si nofo pe vai vai api, kai whaka whai ngofua angi. Ko ia whoku lahe ngā we, pe kai ngatai, o ku mamawhai u. Nau nau ke kumi ke tokoni, ka hange koe ka whamatalata ne nei, lahi au pita ngahi nau nau api, ngahi nau nau whare, ngahi mea ke tokoni, ke whakawhaingofua nge pē ai nofo ko ia ai vai I api.
I api.
Ai o programa ko ni lava Lelei ia I King County, ai whakasia ro fok taha ngahi kolo ko ia King County, ui ai fok ki pia moe ba ki Snohomish, kai pe he fok ki Spokane. Ui ai pe e nau ba ki Orikoni, pia moe ngahi ba ngahi ta wha kehe, kakapau pe o te ia hata mea o fie mau, wha mori whawhetu tak mai pe ka Silivia, ke te oat ha whakahiki ki mei ai. Malo opita, I'm explaining that as you had mentioned, the geographical areas covered by the program, and also if there is any questions on specific areas where some families are out there in other places where it's not quite have a town community with them, they can just reach out to Sylvia and would be able to provide that information or reach out to you again and to get that information to give them.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Charlie. Yeah. Just one question I thought about, like what you were sharing. What is something that's very important, that makes a difference, in the elderly life, in engaging with them, and that's the purpose of the Providence ElderPlace. Especially like with what you're doing, what is something that you think, what the service that you're providing, pray for them, calming them, what is something that you notice that is very, very important, as you see with the experience that you have with the elderly?
I think the elderly, just like all of us, everyone's so unique. So I think for me, for my job, what I think is the most important, the reason why I do it is listening, is really listening and asking questions and getting to know each person individually and asking what's most important to you and what is what are your thoughts about different maybe what is the best day for you? What brings you the most joy? What kind of things in your life are the most important? And to start there, I think, is what makes a difference in making good decisions for healthcare. Because maybe somebody loves to walk around or walk to the lake or spend time with family, and that's the most important thing. And it's surprising to know that some of the best healthcare decisions are not what the doctor thinks is the best, but the healthcare decisions that let you live the life that you want for yourself the most. I mean, we talked about the first main thing, which is to stay at home with family. Well, there's so many things like that in our lives. Maybe walking and staying strong is the most important thing to someone. Well, then that means that person is going to really, really appreciate having a physical therapist as part of their life to strengthen their walking muscles or to provide specific exercises that can help them continue to do that. But if we don't ask the questions, what is you as a person, what is the most important thing to you? And we don't listen as a, medical team, then people don't get to live the life that they would want for themselves. So starting with asking, who are you and what is most important to you and what is the perfect day for you, that if you can live it every day, that would be the best. Maybe it's walking every day. Maybe it's singing every day. Well, you can make healthcare decisions that can support that. So I think in my experience, that has been the best. One person loved his friends and he no longer was able to visit them anymore. And so the first priority was to get him a special bus pass that he can go on. The access bus, he can go on and he can go anywhere, you know? But it was a special a different kind of bus than just the city bus because he needed a little bit of help getting on and off. And once he got that bus pass, he said, "Oh, my life is so much better." And that was the one thing that he needed. So I think listening to our elders and doing what they want and helping them achieve their own goals, that's the best thing. Yeah, and I think as far as the spirit, one thing that I really enjoy that we do is that we have the groups. We have the activity day, and we get to do the spiritual group. And it's not just one-on-one, but to hear from other elders who may be struggling in similar ways and say, "Oh, today I had a fall and I was so scared, and I don't know why this is happening to me." Well, then other people are like, "That happened to me too." And they get to talk to each other and share about these experiences that maybe sometimes they can't share with their family or share with younger people. So I think that the community is a big positive thing. Sorry, I talk so long. It's hard to translate.
Hange pe koia mo mea mai kene whamatala ko ngahi whaunga kehe whoku unauhanga o ngā we aki. Koi ke nau lava o ilo, mo mahino lelei ke ati nau tolu, ai fie mau, ai toko taha takitaha. Nā ne ngā ake whakatata koe ni, o ki ai e nai ai e nau vai nā nau hanga toko ni, nā eke angi nau tolu ke nau ilo i puke hana e mea koe e fia taha ai. Ka pai aha, a peha foi aho lelei, koe hai ne mea koe fie fai. Patang ele koe tangata tangalewa he tangata e ki. Na e ki mo a koe pea holo au pitono iwi, na e whakataha ma upe mono ngai kau ngā mea. Nau tāla noa, nau fia, nau whiohi, pea maua e ne fia. Kai tālu koe ne holo hono iwi, kai kei lava, pea nofo pe foki api, kai ke tuesi lava sio ka nau tolu pea. Hanko morea e ne fia pa, tai me taha morea tuai ene fie mo ui he kohi ne pe e afu ta lata o pita ta sio kono ka ngā mea. Ne hale vai prokalama koe ni o airewa ene ngofu ene pasi ki he pasi. Ka matu fo koe pasi en koe hange ko metro koe na tau tolu. Ko pasi koe ko access pass, e ko pasi koe o koe hano te lava o toko ni he ne he ka mo ne hifo ka ta utu lerei he sea e koe mea fie maa ke falala lerei ki ai. Tōka ne ai pe koia ene tiki te pasi koia moarea ene pasi ke alo abe ia pe a whakafoki mai. Fia, ko nau toi sio koe ke tangata e koe ni talangi tangata e ki. Koe taimi lerei taha ni toi mo uia. He koe uhi o fia au pito ia he ka pasi koe alo. No fo mono ngai kau ngā me a oset a ho pe a toka mai. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charlie. That right now we're about like almost 2 minutes, like 5:50, and so we'll play the last song. If you have anything else, to share, but we have another part 2 of our program. But thank you so much, for all the information that you shared with our Pacific Islanders, and we will definitely get the word out, and also the flyers, that for the health fair on August 12th. We will definitely pass it out to the community so they can come over there and if they have any question. But we do appreciate your time and thank you for sharing. We will play this melodious song all the way from the South Seas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
I will come
much.
to the fair and check it out, and I'll bring some
Okay.
folks with me.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hei, malo o pito mo mea mai, na koe tau konga hono wene tau polokalama, koe tawhaake ne o lahi a hono whehu ia e he kāinga, it's about the vaccine. And we have Christina Predict, from the Public Health Information in Seattle King County Public Health. We have Christina have been supportive, our broadcast for almost 2 years now since the pandemic. And we are also so grateful for her time to share this great information. Today is the topic about the vaccines, especially with the 5 years and older. So, I'm gonna have Seini Puloka is my co-host today, Christina. She's a retired employee from the city of Seattle.
We had done programs before, so she knows.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we met in person as well. Hi, Christina. Malo Lelei.
Hello, good
Malo
to see you.
Lelei, Christina. Talofa lava. So, I know that we do have a lot of questions, but I'll let Seini, lead the first question, and then we'll continue on.
Malo o pito hoi mo kain ha mo ke whanongo mai pia mo mea mai ki polokalama. Ai whakakonga ai wai ne polokalama koe kongain hono e polokalama ke ahoni. Ai ta whamamafa pe foki I he umea koe ni whekau aki mo mea ki he Moui whakasino. Hange koe ko polokalama koe ko toke osi. Ai whai whekau koe ne toka ngai. Ai ta whaake mo whakalau maari e polokalama koe na e toke osi. Ka koe polokalama koe hono wā, koe whiwhine whakoni ko Christina. Mo osi mea mai pe ke ai he kōhiri, ko me I tau e ua whakene mau whai polokalama pe mo whiwhineni. Ai ko Christina koe ofisa whetu utaki ia, ai pureanga, me ta whakoe ne Seattle King County Public Health. Ai a koe unihanga whakawhiakotaki mai ngahi tutuuni whakapureanga ta talo me he tala mai ke tui e mea malu I ke fofonga, a wai ke taimi koe huhu, a wai ke taimi koe e u tata pune u businessi. Ko Christina ini from way back that we started about 2 years ago. Christina is still with us and we are very grateful she's still with us to continue this work, this important work, especially the focus today is about the vaccination of young children, and of course now the kids 6 months to 4 years old, and for young children, the emphasis is to get them vaccinated. Malo au pito, ka te mo mea mai he whai whake ngai whehui, ka koe whehui ulo aki, ai eke an koe ka Christina, ke hanga tala mai, pe koe huhu to ofiha koe au whia mau, ke whai he whankita mai koe ni iki ange au pito. Christina, the first question is, how many doses of vaccine that my child needs, especially with this range of very, very young children?
Yes, that's a great question so people can be prepared. So for young children, there's the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine. Much like we saw with adults, how there are 2 choices. Both of them provide really good protection. And if you're trying to decide between one or another, we would say get the one that's easily available, because these vaccines have been shown very effective in protecting against severe disease. If people get the Pfizer vaccine for their children, that is 3 doses. if it's the Moderna vaccine, that is 2 doses. So when these vaccines were developed, the goal was to find what is the smallest dose possible that still provides protection against severe disease from COVID-19. And the Pfizer dose is a little smaller, so that's why it's 3 doses. And the Moderna dose is a little bit larger, and that's why it's 2 doses. But the ingredients are the same as the COVID vaccines that started in 2020. mRNA is the main ingredient, which is kind of like a recipe card for the body, or a letter saying, you may see this disease and this is how you should react if you see it. But it doesn't contain any live virus. It doesn't contain any ingredients that may be, all the ingredients are halal, they are kosher. It doesn't use any, sometimes a rumor that goes about is that it may use stem cells from fetuses. It does not include any human tissue. It's the mRNA along with fats and sugars to stabilize that medication.
Thank you, Christina. Ai ko ne whamatala mai o
Oh,
ko osi whakmofua lewa whaken ke mau he whankita mai ki iki au pito. Pea koe na koe whewhuk na whaat ki ai pe koe huhu o ku huhu tu o fiha. Ai o tala mai lewa e Christina. Koe ngā whaita o tatau pe, hange koe nei ai whai koe ke kakai lalahi, koe Pfizer pe koe Moderna. Koe ke he pe, ka paulewa koe Pfizer o kuhu tu o tōlu ia. Ka paulewa koe Moderna o tu o ua pe. Kono ki ke he pe, he koe, nai whai whakoe e whekumi koe e kau sainisi, mo kau toke tā koe ni ke ai koe nei ai huhu malu i. Nai whia mā o ke ai ki I whaita o si taha, kai ke I lava pe o whai whatongia malu I koe o e huhu whaita o koe ni. Ai o kono uhinga koe o tōlu ai pe koe ai fo I huhu I koe e Pfizer, he toi ki si iangi. Si iangi ai whaita o kui ai, ko uhinga no ai tō tōlu. Ka koe Moderna o ki he lahi si I pe ai, ka koe uhinga koe o huhu tu o ai pe. Ka koe mea tatau pe hange koe ana e whai koe ke kakai lalahi, o I kai ke I ai ha siemu wai Moui, hange fuko wha mauhala na e whai mai ngai taimi koe o ha siemu Moui o ki ai I whai to I kai. O I kai ke I ai ha whahinga me ai whikau aki pe ko ha mea me ha taha Moui tangata pe ko ha I monu manu hanga whakatapu o kuhala au pito ai mea koe ni. Ke I ai I he me tatau pe kono ke pe he koe iwi mālohi koe whai to o holoki pe ia ke whiunga mo e whankita mai ki vare po whankita mai ki iki ange au pito hange ko ia whamama whake huhu he ngai ahoni. Thank you, Christina. Whiula ki whiu ako.
Go ahead and ask the second one.
The second one, why kids 6 months to 4 years old need a third dose of Pfizer? And I believe I had mentioned it, Christina. I explained, as you had related earlier, that it's just because they, at the stage of research, they wanted to provide the smallest amount possible that could still do the job for the young children. And that's why Pfizer is a little bit smaller a dosage. That's why it has the 3 doses versus the Moderna's 2 doses only.
Exactly, yes.
Malo, hange pe whako ia koe kune whamatala mai. Kono ke he pe ia he koe uhi o ku na e whia mao whoki he taim koe na e whai whekumi ke holoki au pita malo he whai to o ke whiunga mo e tau whanau vare. Pe koe ki pe koe o au koe ni ke tau wha. Ene holoki au pita iwe whai to o malo he whai to o ke whiunga mo e whankita mai ki taha. Ai a koe ki mei whai to o si I taha kai ke I lava pe o te kei aki ai siemu koe ni mahaki koe no whia mao ke ta ofi. Ai ko uhinga ia koe ki isi ange pe ai mālohi a whai to o I he whai to o koe ni hono hingoa koe ni koe Pfizer. Ko uhinga ia huhu to o tōlu ai. Ka mea tatau pe o ki whai to o koe kepe ai mālohi o ki mālohi ange ai Moderna I he Pfizer ko uhinga to o ai pe kai to o tōlu ai. Mālo. Tōlu.
Okay, I have another different question that just came from the community. The question was asking, they said the vaccine may not protect everyone. Um, why vaccine required for the younger kids, because they're still young, their immune system is still fresh. Can you explain that, Christina? I'm sure you already a part of the research study.
So the vaccine does protect against severe disease. And there's a lot of evidence that hospitalization and death from COVID-19 is significantly lower when people are vaccinated than when people are unvaccinated. So when people do get COVID-19, it can be mild symptoms or it might feel like a flu, but they recover and they're able to stay home and they don't end up in the hospital. So what we've learned about the vaccine is its protection against severe disease.
Hello.
So in babies and children, usually COVID-19 is not severe, but on occasion it can cause very serious infections and on rare occasions death. Unfortunately, there have been deaths in King County of children in this age group. So the vaccine is the best way to protect against COVID and also long-term symptoms, because long COVID is real and people who are unvaccinated are more likely to get long COVID. And we want to prevent these children from having longer symptoms. And one thing that's also unfortunate and why the vaccine is really important is with Omicron, more children have been getting COVID-19 than they were earlier. And children 6 months to 4 years old have the highest rate of emergency room visits and hospitalizations of all children under 18. And more than half of these children have no underlying medical condition, but they end up in the emergency room. So even though deaths and severe illness are uncommon, there's still a risk. And we also want to think of these children's relatives and parents and grandparents who the children might inadvertently pass COVID-19 onto, because we know that if you're unvaccinated, sometimes you can have a higher viral load. You have more virus in your body and it's easier to pass it to another person.
Thank you, Christina.
Aia koe whakamatala whakaina a Christina, he koe whehu I whoki pako hamea oku nau tau kawe I mai ai ke kei huhu pe e whanau wiki au pito, pako me he vare o au ki he tau wha, pako tau nima, he kohi koe anga whue whakaukau nau kei tupu, nau kei maa, heo nau sino, pe mo nau anga nau tupu, kohi ke aire vai whaito o ke nau tolu. Pakatari le mai le makoe ni ai ofisa fetu taki koe ni a pot ngai Moui, ai koe ki Sierra King County, o pe Christina, I o moni au pito pe ai tokanga ki ai, ka ihe taim tatau pe ko whatongi ai o pot ngai Moui koe ia e pure anga. Ko pau pe ke nau whare I whakatatau ki ngai whakatotolo whakai sai nisi ku osi whai. He ku osi lahi pe osi lahi pe mo I he paha atau koe ni, ai whankita mai ki ko oangi ki whare mahaki, pe hokai whako nau mate. Ko uhi foki koe tupu me he siemu koe ni o Covid-19, koe Omicron, ain koe ni o tau wheao mo I hangai aho ni aia, o whia mau apito pea ke nau huhu, ke malu I ki nau tō. Kai whakangata ai, ka mantu ka kaureka koe nia wea ngahi apito ko lahi, o kei no whawhok mo I kakai la lahi, tu ke pe koe nau mātua, pe ko nau whangata o kete, pe koe whangatoko ua, lahi angi I he kaureka koe ni, pe koe nau kui, pe koe kainga kehe nau nofo, aia foki, o koe pipihi koe ia, hanko whakatapu ai siemu ki kakai lalahi koe ni, omi e nau tolu ki api, o toki puke e whankita mai ki iki au pita koe ni. Pe kai ngata ai foki, o gai e hoha a moe tokanga, ke ua foke mau he whankita mai koe ni, a mea koe nuk tau osi mahine kakai koe nda tolu lalahi, a mea koe nuk koe long COVID. Pe kua fualoa e sai ai puke ia koe COVID-i, ka koe ngahi whaka ilo ngai e kei ni nimo, kai ke loko fulapa whakakau Lelei, hange pea ko puke ia pea I taimi koto ape, ka koe nānunga pe whokia, o e whinga Covid koe ni, na e kai ke huhu. Hange ia
Malo.
nea ko ose si e muia, ka puke pe ia ko hi, na e kai ke huhu.
Okay. Malo, thank you, Saini. Thank you, Christina. I have someone, Tina, from outside calling Wantita from the Samoan community. Wantita, go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, my question is with the Samoan community here in, this is the vaccines for the King County or both King County and Pierce County?
For the King County.
For the King County, okay. Questions from all the different religions here with the Samoan community is when can the seniors and the children from the ages of 5 up to 85 get the second booster shot done? That's my question.
We're already
No,
going on the 4th dose now. So
It's okay,
you're
Christina will
you're far
answer.
behind. People are going on the round 4 right now.
well, this is a great question because not everybody can get the 4th dose yet. So, and it's a common question.
Okay,
A lot of
listen
people
in.
are wondering.
Can you
So
listen,
right
Tina, the
now,
question?
if you're over 5 years old, a booster dose is recommended. So you have your initial dose, 1 dose Pfizer, 1 second dose Pfizer, then 5 months later, your booster, which some people also call their 3rd dose. So that's 1 booster. If you're over 50 years old, there's you can get a second booster 5 months after that for a total of 4 shots, and that provides increased protection, especially when you have waning immunity. And if you are 12 and over and are immunocompromised, so if you recently underwent cancer treatment, if you have a genetic disorder, you are eligible for a second booster. We do not know yet when that second booster that you just asked about will be available for people aged 12 to 50 who are not immunocompromised. So we've heard some rumblings, some people may be discussing that this fall that will be available, but we don't know for sure yet, but we know a lot of people are asking that. So we will keep you updated for sure through Sylvia and Saini.
Christina, this may have already been covered. I'll go ahead and ask it, and you can just reiterate if it had been answered. Why are the number of doses different for Moderna and Pfizer? And I think you have covered it just because of the amount and the strength in each.
Yeah, and I think what's I think what can be confusing is sometimes we think of the vaccine as the COVID-19 vaccine, but really they're different companies that are developing them in slightly different ways. So while the primary ingredients are the same, the formula might be a little different. And they're all tested differently, and they all go through different safety procedures for the same endpoint. So it's like if somebody was to bring a dish to a potluck, and maybe it's the same type of casserole or a pasta bake, but one has really heavy cream and cheese and one has less. Even though they're essentially the same, you're going to feel a little more full after the one with lots of cream and cheese. So kind of like that, very, very similar, but slightly different recipes to get there.
Thank you, Christina. Aia koe whehu I whoki na eke pukaha mea oku kehe ai koe ai ngā whaito o hange pe koe koe nai o silawe kei ki mua. Oku na tatau pe ki nā waia ka koe uhi I whoki oku ai mea mahalo ki malo. Hea koe ne whakawhai ngō fua koe e whakatatau ne ngā aki ka pau ka ngō tisi nu tolo tatau pe mahalo ku ki ilahi ange ai sauce koe na ngai aki he tisi taha he ko hi I me tisi taha ka koe ono mo ni ona ia koe nau tatau pe faito o tatau pe o ku ngawe aki. Next one, Christina, what are the ingredients in the COVID-19 vaccine?
Yeah, so the primary ingredient is mRNA. So this stands for messenger RNA. It is very different than DNA. So they are two different things. But messenger RNA goes around the cell and it tells the cell what to do. So this is messenger RNA that was created synthetically in a lab, which was created for this. It doesn't come from a human or an animal, but it does the job to let the body know that the vaccine or that the disease could be out there and how to fight off the disease when it sees it. And then fats and sugars are used to help stabilize and carry that mRNA into the body. And these ingredients help the mRNA, it goes into a muscle. That muscle develops knowledge about COVID and then will message to the rest of the body. And within 3 days, there is no trace of these ingredients left in the body. So the short answer is mRNA, fats, and sugars. And all of those ingredients leave the body within 3 days, broken down by enzymes within the body.
Thank you, Christina. Hange koe o mo mea mai ke ne whakamatala, ai koe whehu I fōki pe koe hae ngahi nau ko ia o ku whao ake whaito o koe ni o tau whai koe ni he huhu malu I koe ni ki he COVID-19. Hange koe ne whakamatala, hoi mo ka inga o ke os mea I pe koe o koe ke hana whakatonga Lelei ona pe o koe ko hanga whina mātua anu hana I loi taha ke mea whawhaito o. Ka koe mea koe ni koe mRNA, pe koe messenger RNA, aia koe whahinga whaito o ia koe o ai o huhu ki loto ko ia ki o tau sino. Pe hanga rewa he whaito o koe ni o whekau I a cell pe koe me mipa koe ni whau aki koe o tau sino. Ke ne hanga o teke I a CM ko ia COVID-19 he ne hoko mai pe koe ne ofi mai ko ia ke sino. Aia koe ne pehe o kui kai ke iai ke whakamanatu atu hang koe mangahi mauhala pe o ku whetuku atu fokia o atu ko tau kainga tonga ki tonga. O pehe ko a koe mea nei o mai me hatoe sino o ha tangata pe ko ha tangata Moui. Pe koe sino me ha tangata mate. Pe koe sino o ha monu manu hanga koe whakatapu pe koe mea nei Moui pe koe mea nei mate. Hala au pito kata whamore more. Koe whaito o pe nia nei ngahi aki pe ai kemikare. Koe mea pe koe o kutānaki ki ai. Koe fat mo sugar aia pe koe suka pe koe mea pe koe lolo pe koe hae whahinga mea ngako. O ku hu ia mo whaito o koe ni ke lava whai ake ai huhu malu I. Aia koe osi pe a hoi tōlu ho mau e huhu ko au whakatokotoa ko os whakanatula pe whetukutuku ate o mea koe ni ki tua o I kai ke te iai hano whakailonga ana e taha I ho tau sino. Malo. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you. Christina, I'd like to, now it's about like 6:15. I'd like to take a little pause like for 30 seconds and just play a little music here, keep our audience live. And thank you so much. And we'll just play this little melodios all the way from the South Seas.
Moe tau anga
so much, Christina. I have this question here that was coming from the community. Um, Sorry, I don't want to make it like negative, but it's just like the true fact, that sometimes the people ask. What
Yeah.
happened that some people never get vaccinated and they are still doing fine? Compared to some of the people, they already get vaccinated. So it's keep coming up, all the time, but it's just, like the fact, that we need to share it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. And it's something that a lot of people wonder. And I don't think there's one answer, but I can give a couple of reasons that happens. So, and I think keeping in mind the reason we don't have an answer or one answer is because COVID is still very new. Most of the diseases we deal with, we've had hundreds of years, maybe not hundreds, more than 100 years, but a lot of diseases hit us early 1900s, late 1800s, and we've had a very, very long time to learn about them and see how they work. So COVID is fairly new for us. So yes, a lot of people have not gotten COVID and they're not vaccinated. And there's a couple reasons that this could be possible. One is that sometimes sometimes you may have COVID-19, but it could be very mild and you don't realize that you had it. So maybe we know that COVID affects people very differently. In the beginning of COVID, we talked a lot about people who were asymptomatic because people might not know that they're spreading it, but be spreading it. So this is something, or maybe, somebody had a lot of sneezing and didn't feel well for a day, but it was very quick and they wrote it off as allergies. So they may have had COVID and they don't know they have COVID. The other reason is some people just have better immunity. So it's possible that COVID is in a family of coronaviruses. So we hear COVID is the disease, coronavirus is its family. And there's a lot of coronaviruses. The common cold is actually a coronavirus. So sometimes one theory that has not been proven, but maybe if somebody as a child got a lot of these coronaviruses, they're now providing more immunity. And if this is happening, it's probably in less than 10% of people who had these diseases, but it could happen because we don't know everything yet. That's one theory. And another, especially in King County, what we see is we have a very high vaccination rate. And a lot of people wear masks and a lot of people still social distance, or when you go in the grocery store, there's a lot of safety precautions up, and these protect people. So these are put into place to protect people, especially to protect the most vulnerable people, but it protects all of us. So maybe you're not vaccinated, but you're always around people wearing masks, or there's really good ventilation outside, or people who are vaccinated, so they're less likely to spread the disease. That provides a certain level of protection. And we really hope everybody stays healthy and safe. And, it's fantastic that there are people who have not caught COVID, because that can have a lot of negative side effects. So we're really thankful every time we hear somebody hasn't received COVID. And those are some reasons why maybe they haven't.
Folks, the benefits of being vaccinated anyway is because even if they do, as you folks in public health have advised, even if you do catch the virus, it is in very moderation form, as well as
Yeah,
may or may not be hospitalized, and definitely not death.
right. So what we hear a lot is, Yes. So right now, there's dashboards and we can track it week to week. But if you're unvaccinated or not boosted, you're about 20 times more likely to be hospital or 14 more times likely to be hospitalized, about 20 times more likely to die than somebody who's not vaccinated. And we talk a lot about something called the viral load. So the viral load is how much virus you have in the body. The higher the viral load, the more it replicates, the more sick you become, and the more contagious you become. And what the vaccine does is it slows that replication. And there's variants of COVID that the body or the vaccine haven't seen before. Sometimes it catches that a little later. Like it might not recognize it's COVID at first, and then it's like, wait, oh, I better do something. And that's when people get a little sick before it can stop it from replicating. But without a vaccine, it just keeps replicating. And then you have more virus in your system, which means it's more likely to attack your body and more likely to spread to others.
Te ki lawe no no atu pe ki whamatala ko ni ko malawe e maua mo os mea i Lelei au pita o pita pe ki mo tole whamatala ko e whiwhine ko ni whetu taki mai me heo. Ko e ofisa whetu taki ko ia ai Seattle King County Public Health ai ko ne pehe ko whewi whako ne whai ate Silvia ue whake kakai o te kai ke nau huhu pea oku te kai pe ke nau puke ki nau tolu ia i he maha ki whaaua koe ne Covid-19. Ka si ai fo ke ka inga tau tolu ia, ko nau osi huhu, pea ko nau puke. Whai na ia maha ko puke tō taha, ko e te klasi nau talamai, nau takai tō oen ki nau tolu. Ka he whakamatala koe ne e whiwhine o te talamai, koe mono ia nei ka pau te kai ke puke koe ka. Koe whakatatau ke nau mai whakatotolo whakasainis koe whai, manatu ina e ulaki pawake mai koe ni, e maha whaaua koe ni, na e ai whake kalasia na ospoke pe na tolu ai ka koe whake hana whakailonga ana ia ta
Kai ke asia ki tua.
Kai ke asi ki tua me sino pea toki ilo ki mui mahalo na koe COVID ia ka koe ne pehe malo ia ka pau na te kai ke puke koe ka koe ui o ke takai pe foki ai sia mu ia i he tau no fo pe ke whewhi tu te alki ai pe i whare koloa pe i whare lotu pe i api pe he kaunga api ai fo kai ke ilo he tahaf ko sem ko ni te lava sio mata ki ai o alpe fo ki he ea ai ko ne pepe ia fa tatau kon ke nau fare fa fai ke malu ange pe ke hao ange pe ke pau ange pe ke huhu e ko hi fo ke ka pau i kai ko nau fa fo fo i he nau u fe kumi ko fai o ku fa fo fo ko pesete tahafa pe ke algo ki fare mahaki o fa tatau ki to ta ko na si huhu pe ko pesete le vai wa noa ai whainga maarie ke pekia ka pau fok te kai ke hu. Ai a koe hono ai pau pe lava atu o maurewa ai huhu he kuhta e totongi ko i ke malu i koe pa kai ke ngatai ka ko hi fok ko whamiri ma ki whana wiki o kui api pe o ku ke whetau laki moia. Malo o pito.
I just wanted to share this. This is a little text that come from, I think it's a Tongan lady from Ana Vigilani. She said, o ko fia o pito mo whamatala mai ka mo oni. O ku lahi kau tamai o ku kai ki nā ngā eke huhu. Ka koe osi ange ia una nofo pe koe ki nā puke. Pea ohore pe ko si tala mai ku mole tō taha koe si pāka lava. Pea mo e ngai whakoutua ke. Ka kou whamalo pe whanongat kono mouto e whamaala ala mai. Pea o tokoni a pito malo o pito ma upolo kalama Lelei. So in other words, you know, this Tongan lady, she said, thank you so much. You know, there was like a family members, they didn't take the vaccine. And after a few months, one of the family members, you know, got a stroke. And then unfortunately she passed, you know, from such an age, you know, not even 60 years old. She was only 51. But she said, I'm glad to hear all the details that you guys clarified, you know, from the King County Public Health, because it makes me have the more empower and wisdom and knowledge to hear about. You may not even have the knowledge that you already affected for not taking the vaccines, but you just feel normal, but just like better to be prevent than cure. in our language. Thank you, Christina. Well, we only got 5 more minutes to go. We'll give you the last chance. I'm sure you may have something to share, and then we'll wrap it up. We finished our broadcast today at 6:30. For those of you that need to know more about, you can always go in to the Voice of South Pacific Live on Facebook, or you can watch it on YouTube to get all the detailed information.
I think I can still fit in a couple here, Christina, as one long question. Where can babies and young children get vaccinated? And for us parents and caregivers at home, what should we do to prepare the kids for vaccination?
Yeah, that's a great question. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. I'm gonna put a website in the chat that hopefully you can share on Facebook. But kingcounty.gov/vaccine will give you a list of places, including places for young children to get vaccinated. So one thing to know, if you have a child under 3 years old, sometimes babies can be more difficult to vaccinate, or you want a specialist. So call the pharmacy first. So if you see an appointment for children, call and see, will they vaccinate children under 3? Because that's really important. COVID-19 vaccine can also be given with a child's regular vaccines. So if a child's getting vaccinated for measles or whooping cough or another disease, the COVID-19 vaccine can be given at the same time. So when you show up, it's and at King County sites, they'll vaccinate young children, and those can be found on kingcounty.gov/vaccine. With little ones, 5 and over, it's really easy now to walk in and to go to pop-up clinics, and a lot of them have the pediatric doses. It's not that easy with this age group yet. So definitely call ahead, tell them the age of your child, make sure they have the right dose, and then the day of, prepare like you do for other doctor's visits. So kids under 3, it's given in the hip. So maybe just your child in a little onesie or something where it's easy to get to their leg. And then otherwise, just prepare your children that they're going to get a poke, that it might pinch a little, but it won't be bad. Let them bring a favorite stuffed animal. Yeah, it's really, it's a lot like other childhood vaccines. And then afterwards, people ask about side effects a lot. With this age group, they actually found the most common side effect was that the kids were irritable and they cried and they were tired. So kind of typical behavior you might see, maybe a small fever, but no severe side effects in this group and all of the safety testing.
Mati fo koe kaureka koe ni ia pe ku tau fiha meha no whanau i o lahi ha ke o alki o lunga. Nā os mahen pe fo ki nā tol he huhu. He koe pe fo nā ngahi huhu ke os mea i pe koe ta mai mo whae kune os whaangi ke kaureka. Hanko mi sere koe ku tai loa loa. Whakawhitu tak pe koe ke o toke tā pua pau ikai. Aluki he website koe ai kingcounty.gov/vaccines. Ma o tā ngai whaitu koe o whae huhu. He koe huhu tai totongi fo kien. Whai pe pure anga. Thank you so much, Christina. This is a lot of information, may not necessarily be new, but it's great reminders to all of us.
Thank you, Christina. Have a great weekend.
You
we'll
too.
See you next
Thank
time.
you both. Good night.
We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Malo neta.
Koe ni ko tawa o maini ke whaasinga koe tau Pōkalama, whamanata taipe. Mo te lava pe o sio ki te tau Pōkalama. Mo ka taku pe koe Pōkalama koe ni mo pule anga. O ku mau lele whapapalangi, lele whakatonga pe mau ke mau te ke tana lele tā, ke tu watu. O whamalo te heni ki a ki motoru koe a ki moi lotoni. Ka koe ngahi vahe koe ia mihi pure anga. Ko ki nau tolu nau kai ngai whakatotolo whasai isi pa matau kā. Te nau o mai koe tokoni ki tau kā ina koe pasiki. O whamalo te mo. Te whamanata tai pe tā Pōkalama koe ki ahamoni te. Ang whaai o siulai. Lere tai tā Pōkalama me tai ni ono ki walu ki ahamoni te. Me tau public holiday te Ko ia whamanata te peke mō tau tātou kāwhatahi. Oka peke mō maka weekend lelei. Te tari e peke tō kalama koe sāpate, nga tō kāwhalang mari o atu e sāpate. Koe ngata anga ia tō kalama e ahoni, nei he Voice of South Pacific, and Rachel Thomas, Seattle, Washington. Ki muta whao a, ko Stevia Fatima Aho, mo Seini Puloka Tātola. Pe wha malo, e me tatua tāpea lawa. Malo.